Welcome to Taking Healthy Back with Maria, with your host, Maria Malec, experience coach, conscience educator, and destination retreat host, presents to you countless ways to overcome an overwhelmed, overprocessed, and overmedicated lifestyle. She'll be covering everything wellness, from getting more from life than you put into it, destination retreats to healthy cooking and conscious education. So please welcome the host of Taking Healthy Back with Maria.
How's it going, everybody? All you wellness seekers out there, happy Friday. Welcome to Taking Healthy Back with Maria. I'm your host, Maria Malec, and I help women optimize their life by sharing mindset, skill set, tool set to navigating an overstressed, overprocessed, and overmedicated lifestyle, and help people live a full sensory life with optimized wellness. I am really excited about our guest today, although I'm excited every week about my guest. I have Tywin Kalandyk. He's a transformational coach and so much more than that. And today we are discussing being the man the world needs. Welcome, Tywin.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. I look forward to diving in and having a great conversation with you.
Yes. Like I told you earlier, I've been binge watching your videos. Thank God they're not hours long. They're quick and they're to the point. And now you're a transformational coach. Who were you before you became this guy? And tell us a little bit about you.
Man, you just hit me right off the bat with a loaded question. I love it. So, prior to stepping into the coaching side of things, I was just somebody who was lost. I was somebody trying to figure out life myself. Luckily, I think fitness kind of helped me figure out a lot of life. That's how I've kind of figured things out. And I think when I started finding success in my own journey, and it started impacting not just how I physically looked, but it started impacting the relationships I was having. It started impacting my finances, and I just seen this need, and just this feeling of like, wow, if it's done this for me, what can it do for others? And it kind of takes me back to, watching, my parents and their health issues and how much they struggled. And at that time I couldn't help them. But now I was like, man, if I can help other people, it's almost like this sense of obligation. Like I found this secret that I wanted to share.
Yeah. And I mean, you barely fit in the screen here. And I know when I first met you and I first saw you, I'm like, whoa, this dude is massive, not just in stature, but even your presence is very commanding. And I always think of a lion when I think of you. And I think we met about a year ago, and we have a common mentor, Myron Golden. And if you know, you know. And we go every week to his live recordings, his Bible studies, his business teaching, and so much of, I believe, actually both of us who we are has a lot to do with the influence of Myron. So tell us a little bit how you got introduced to him and how he changed your life and how it's contributing to your coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. So I reached a point in my career where I felt called to work with strictly men. I didn't understand really why. I've always worked with men, but predominantly a lot of women. Like women are just savages when it comes to fitness. Like they go, I love them because once they make up their mind, they go for it. They're committed. Women are amazing. And but I felt this calling to go work with just men. And at first I was a little bit unsure. I was like, God, you sure about that? Because like everything was going good in this lane. But, when he speaks, I listen. And I knew I needed to get around a new crowd. I needed new mentors. I needed to be around other people to just level up. I think I had reached a level of comfortability. And so I went on a search. And on that search, I somehow, some way got connected with Myron. And immediately I knew that was where I needed to be. And then somehow, some way, smuggled my way into his live recordings, which is where I met you and a whole
Right.
bunch of other amazing people just looking to not only change their lives, but have a huge impact on the world. So I was like, okay, I'm home. This is it. So yeah, and here we are.
Well, I'm sure you know that his one of his big things is loving God and serving others, and that we're created to create, have community, and contribute. So those are three big takeaways that obviously now that I'm seeing more of your content, that I see you're addressing that. So, there's a little positive feedback to let you know that it what you're learning is making a difference.
No, I
So
appreciate
that takes me to a question, because you already answered um, that you were coaching women and now you're coaching men. Is it mostly because women were complaining about their men that you felt like you could make more of an impact on men for these women?
I wouldn't say it was because women were complaining about their men, although that definitely was happening. Um, I just seen the need more than ever. There's a lot of men that are lost, and I was that man. By the way, I was the man who didn't know how to lead in a relationship, didn't know how to lead in a marriage, didn't know how to lead financial. Like so, I was that man. But over the years, working on myself, I learned what it really meant to be a man. I learned what it really meant to be a leader in provider and a protector, which I didn't know what that was before. I thought I did, but I didn't. And then looking out into the world, there's people in that space that are guiding men, and some of what they say is good, but then a
Right.
lot of what they say is it's not good. It's almost like it pits men and women against each other,
Oh,
and that's not good. We need each other, and it's my belief that women are they're just unbelievable. They're just unbelievable creatures. Like God was not playing when He created them, and they have certain roles, and then males have certain roles.
right.
That's just my belief. And I think there's just kind of confusion, and men and women get pitted against each other. And I was like, let me step in and do my part, because I would catch myself, oh, that's not supposed to be like that. And I was like, you know what? You can complain about it and say that's not this, or you can actually do your part in help in that area. So that's kind of really why it's kind of a long answer to your question, but that's why I got kind of driven to that.
No, that's great. There's so much going on in the world right now that everybody's confused. And as much as I have a handle on myself and self resilience and things like that, doubt and fears and all those things creep in. I just know how to get through them quicker. And that's where I feel, my place in the world in helping people optimize their lives, because we're overstressed, we're over medicated, we're over processed. And that's really messing with people's brains,
100%.
like physically, which is affecting our behavior.
100%.
So I have a couple questions from some videos I saw of yours. And one of your videos said, "Are you truly leading your life or just going through the motions?" So tell me about outward appearance versus internal reality.
Such a great question. I would probably say, to start off, social media. There's some wonderful things about social media, but there's
Mhm.
also some very terrible things about social media. And I think people have a hard time knowing the difference between social media and reality. I think that gets blurred a lot. So outwardly, you have a lot of people, for lack of better words, I'll say pretending or putting on a facade. But inwardly, they're hurting, they're
Mm.
struggling, they're confused. And when your actions outwardly don't match what's going on inwardly, it just goes, it's like chaos. It's like chaos, and you're lost and you can't figure it out. So they need to become the same. You know, they have to become the same. And in order for those to become the same, it is my belief that you have to be your authentic version of yourself. Our authentic version of ourself is. You know, we
True.
cover so much layers of what society says you're supposed to do and what your family said you're supposed to do and what your spouse said you're supposed to do. We get lost in the sauce and we don't even know who we are. But then when we start peeling back those layers, we start understanding like God didn't make no mistakes. Like you're perfect exactly how you are. Everything you went through, the problems and the great things, like it all was meant to create who you are. And I think that's important we get down to that, because until we get down to that, we can never show up to the world like we need to show up to the world.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, who was it that said everything has to be perfect, everything has to be in balance? Because I don't truly believe there is a balance. I believe there's like an ebb and flow, because things are changing. You know, we don't breathe the same air every day, we don't take the same steps. And so this whole facade of perfectionism is really like a disease, I think.
It would be such a horrible world if everybody was perfect, nobody made mistakes. It would be so boring, you know, and that's not how we're mistakes, because you have to make mistakes because we're supposed to be constantly, you know, climbing this ladder of life, success, whatever that is, in relationships and business. I think part of that comes from our school systems, teaching us that it's not okay to
Ooh.
make mistakes. Like it's wrong to make mistakes. Like you're dumb if you make mistakes. I think there's a lot of things that play a part, but you're 100% right. I agree. That's a beautiful thing about life, is the mistakes, is
Well, and you know, Myron always talks about, and other smart people tell us, that it's the mistakes, experiences, or it's the what we call failures, um, that make us stronger for handling things in the future. You know, it's preparing us to be that person, right?
100%. 100%. I always tell my guys, fail early, fail fast, fail often.
Yes, good one. Well, guess what? We already have a commercial break, so we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. Maybe not to the point where, you know, I'm going to be Maria the farmer, but I'm definitely going, like, I'm definitely on that course of respecting nature and how it grows. And I just think that's so beautiful. I never really heard permaculture explained in that manner. And I don't know, it's romantic to me to hear that, you know?
And we also get access to masterminds. We had Caroline Leaf speak this week
Oh, wow.
exclusively to us, just telling us about, just to explain about how the mind works, the mind, brain, body, soul. And it was just amazing because we had Caroline Leaf to ourselves for an hour. And it was just amazing. We've had some amazing guests on. Every month we get like a new guest.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Welcome back to Taking Healthy Back with Maria. I'm here today with Tywin Kalandyk, a transformational coach, and so much more. All right, Tywin, I got another question for you. And these are all on your videos. So the quality of life will never surpass your identity. So explain that. And it's twofold, and moving beyond the comfort zone from pain to pleasure. But I love that your quality of life will never surpass your identity. That was a great video. So maybe you can expand upon that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was definitely something that hits home because this is, I learned this by going through it. And let me start by saying this: nothing I teach or tell anyone. It's all either something that I personally went through, or something one of my clients has personally went through. But this one definitely hits home. So for me, I had all these limiting beliefs, even as an adult. So outwardly, yeah, maybe I look like this, big, strong alpha male, but it was the total opposite inside. I had doubts I had confidence issues. I had issues, self-esteem issues. I had issues from, being adopted. There was all of these stories that I was telling myself in my head. And because of that, it kept me down. It held me back. And until I started going through and attaching new meanings to those stories and elevating myself and who I was as a person, I couldn't grow. And I noticed as my perception about myself changed, outwardly, my life started to change. So you'll never surpass that. So if internally you don't think you're good enough, you don't think you're deserving, you think you're lazy, you like all of these things, outwardly that will be expressed, and it's going to show. That's what's going to show the world. And you'll see this when you read about different successful people. They almost, a lot of times, they come across almost as arrogant, or people think that's arrogance. But it's not arrogance, it's confidence. Because when you're on this growth journey, whatever it is, whether it's fitness, whether it's finance, whatever it is, your only cheerleader when you first start is yourself. So you have to start telling yourself how great you are, how awesome you are, how you're so deserving. And then once you really start to believe that, externally, you'll start seeing that.
Right. You gave a great example of a guy who lost 80 pounds. And even though he lost 80 pounds, he was still carrying himself as the man who had all that extra weight on. So were you ever able to help him change his mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is very common. This is very, very common, where physically on the outside, people will change and internally they don't. This is why I'm a big advocate fan of going through the process, and I say that because if someone wants to do surgeries and all that, whatever, that's fine. But here's the problem with that. It's important you go through the process because that teaches you to become the person. And if you don't become the person, you're still good. You still have that mindset, and you'll go back. You'll self-sabotage yourself. So it was, and as we go through the journey with my clients, I walk them through becoming that person. And it's almost, you have to like shake them, because they're like, no, I'm still overweight. and I'll have to point. I'm a big fan of tracking. So we'll look at their before and afters. We'll look at their measurements. We'll look at their weight. We'll go back and look at their workouts, like something that before they couldn't even do. Now they crush and it's easy. So you have to start putting these data points in front of people and showing them truth, because what they're doing is they have their own. There's your truth, and then there's the truth. And their truth, right? What the story they're telling themselves isn't in alignment with the actual truth. But when you start laying in front of people, no, you're down 80 pounds, you lost 22 inches, you have more energy than you've ever had before, you're crushing your workouts, your relationship with your wife is phenomenal, you're running around with your kids. So they're like, oh, 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 oh.
Right.
So a lot of time it's your belief and it's your view of them that you kind of transfer to them. So to answer your question, that was long-winded, but yes, absolutely. Like it's so cool when you see someone make this change, because they start walking different, they start talking different. Now all of a sudden they're giving you eye contact, they're going over, and now they're helping and they're empowering other people. He's leading his wife, his kids now. So to walk like the 80 pounds was like icing on the cake. But the other aspects that changed in his life, and this happens with everybody. This is why I get so excited about this. It's not about the weight loss. Like, that's just a frosting on the cake. Like, his whole life completely changed. And I've seen this happen so many times. So many times. It's so cool.
That must be so gratifying. I think he said that he didn't think he was going to be able to see his kid graduate, and his wife was kind of embarrassed of him because of his weight. So that's amazing for you to be a part of that.
Yeah. It's so cool. And I see this a lot especially with spouses. They don't necessarily a lot of times say it, oh, honey, I love you just how you are. But then they're all googly eyes about they see this fit dude on TV, this celebrity, and in your head you're like, wait a second, he doesn't look anything like me. Like, you know what I mean? So and we know that. Like, deep down, that. You're not operating at your full potential.
Right.
So yeah, it's really cool to see.
So part of that shift that you're helping them with is basically they have to get out of their comfort zone, right?
Yep. 100%.
And did you ever hear of the guy by the name of Elliot Hulse?
I have not.
He's another fitness guy, and I used to watch him years ago, and he always talked about the transcendent moment. And the transcendent moment, let's say you could do 10 push-ups. He said, do 11 or do 12 or do more than you can do. And it's in those extra reps he called the transcendent moment, because that's where you make the gains. Not in the 10 that you can already do. You make the gains in the 1, 2, 3 more that you thought you could do. Does that ring true?
It's 100% true. It's so cool that you said this. I had a conversation just today with a guy at the gym. He's 80 years old, right? So he's 80 years old, and I hear this noise. I hear, I'm like, what is that? And I look over, it's this 80-year-old man squeezing out these push-ups, like, and he probably got, first of all, I don't know how many he did prior, but I was like, man, like, he gets it. He understands. And I automatically knew, I was like, either he played sports or he's military, I guarantee. And I asked him, I said, do you play sports? He said, no, I've never played sports. I said, were you in the military? He's like, yeah, I was military. Because typically you have to be taught how to push through that. And you're 100% right when you say it. It's not the first 10. Anybody can do the first 10. Anybody can do what's easy. It's when it gets hard, what are you going to do? And I love this because it transcends and it goes right in. This is how life works. When everything's going good, sunshine and rainbows, everybody's cool. But what you going to do when you check your bank account and it's negative? What you going to do when you're having relationship issues? What are you going to, like, that's when things start falling apart. So these lessons we learn in the gym, and I love the gym because it's a controlled atmosphere to create absolute chaos, and you get to push
Oh,
through it, and you get to get better. So when you're lifting the weights and it gets hard, and every fiber in your body says quit, you know what your brain says? Well, you teach your brain to say, "Now we're not quitting. Push through it. Do another one. Now do another one." And then when you're done with it, it's like this immediate dopamine hit, and you
hmm.
like, immediately know, like, man, I'm so much better than I thought. I'm so much more capable and powerful than I thought. And when you start doing this on a regular basis, it's powerful. So powerful. So what he said is 100% spot on.
Great. And I use that for a lot of different things, like that transcendent moment. So that I don't own that. You can take that. I'm proud to say that my dad is 97 and he still exercises every day.
So
It's
impressive.
it's
That's
pretty
so
amazing.
impressive.
Kind of shames me. And you're giving me a new perspective on the gym because I hate going to a gym. I really do. And I do my own thing in my home here, but there's a saying that I love: change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
Ooh.
And I don't know, I might consider going back to the gym.
You know, it's powerful, and it's cool you say that, because, and I try to be as transparent as possible, because what I found is a lot of people have this feeling that, certain people love going to the gym and it's just blissful and they're just so great on it and it's so easy for them. No, it's not. It's not. 90% of the time, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go. I do not want to go.
Why
90,
not?
like, it's hard. Look,
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen my wife, if you went through my social media, she's absolutely stunning. So
She,
getting up at 4 a.m., leaving my beautiful wife, going to a gym to sweat and put myself through pain intentionally, that's, I would rather lay next to my wife. But I do it because I know it's going to make me better. I
Mhm.
do it because it's hard. Because let's face it, like, life is hard. So
Mhm.
I would rather get comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's just my norm. So when life gets hard, oh, okay, this is normal. I'm used to this. When my relationship gets hard, it's like, okay, no problem. When finances get hard, like, it's just no problem. So there's so much benefits that come from a gym. It's like when you're like, man, I don't want to go to the gym. That's exactly why you need to go. Those
Right.
are the days you need to go. No one ever goes to the gym and leaves and be like, man, I wish I wouldn't have came. Said nobody else, you know? But
That's
like
a
you
good
feel
one.
so empowered, like when you're like, I don't want to go, I don't feel like it. It's cold outside. Well, we're in Florida, so it's very cold. It's hot outside, like it's a long drive, and you overcome all those those I call them excuses because they are excuses. And you
Right.
just like, man, I'm so much better than that. It's so cool.
Amen.
It's so powerful.
Amen. Yeah, we have another commercial break and we'll be right back. And we don't have a special chute that chemicals leave our body. So they get lodged in our organs, in our fat tissues, in our connective tissue. And when people think that they're doing all the right things, but they're still sad or they're still having erratic emotions, anger, even, it's because of those kinds of things that we're not even making the connection. Maybe not to the point where, I'm going to be Maria the farmer, but I'm definitely going, like, I'm definitely on that course of respecting nature and how it grows. And I just think that's so beautiful. I never really heard permaculture explained in that manner. And I don't know, it's romantic to me to hear that, you know?
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. We discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back, Wellness Seekers. We're talking today with transformational coach Tywin Kalandyk, and we're having a great conversation. I could talk all day about all this. Okay, so another video, or maybe it was the same one with the guy who lost all the weight. You asked him 2 questions. You asked him what he was afraid of and what he was ashamed of. And I think that was in reference to his motivation.
Yeah.
So why are those 2 questions really important to ask someone you're going to work with?
Oh, that's such a great question. And I hear all the time people say, I'm just not motivated. And a lot of the reasons people aren't motivated is because, first of all, they want to lose weight. Well, it's not that you want to lose weight, and I can prove it to you. Let's say someone comes to me and they say they want to lose 40 pounds. Once they lose 40 pounds, nobody goes around with a scale, sets it on the ground, steps on it, and says, ooh, look, I've lost 40 pounds, and then goes and asks the next person. So it's not the weight that people want to lose. That's like the surface level. And surface level is not going to keep you motivated. You got to dig deeper and understand, like, okay, well, why do you want to lose 40 pounds? So usually I have to ask a client probably 3-4 times till we get to the real reason they want to lose weight. So for instance, I might say, okay, what do you want to do? Okay, I want to lose 40 pounds. Why do you want to lose 40 pounds? So I feel better. Okay, well, why do you want to feel better?
Right.
So I can have a better relationship with my wife. Well, why do you want to have a better relationship with your wife? Well, I feel like she'll pay me more attention. Well, why do you want more attention? Oh, so we can have better intimacy. Well, why do you want better intimacy? Because our sex life sucks. There's the reason. So now, getting someone, especially a male, well, probably females too, but I'll speak for a male, motivating him with that is like, I don't need to motivate him. If he knows, like, hey, if I do this, this, and this, that's the outcome, I don't need to motivate you. You're going to motivate yourself.
That is so cool. I like the way you dig really deep. Why? And do you find that your clients don't want to dig deep? They don't even have the answers?
Yeah, such a great question. And the answer, I would say, that's a hard yes. And it's a hard yes because these are painful situations. These are painful situations that sometimes, most of the time, we don't want to talk about. We avoid at all costs. We've literally, our subconscious mind has locked that door. And a lot of times we don't even know. So a lot of times when I get to the third time I ask them why, they're like, you know what? I never really thought about that. Because it's locked away in your subconscious. So I'll force people to go through doors that they don't want to go through. And a lot of times it'll lead back to people's childhood. Like I'll talk to someone and like, well, growing up, I didn't have a father. So I just felt like I wasn't good enough. So like, we'll get like really, really deep. And when you start getting deep like that, like I don't have to motivate them anymore. And a lot of times this is a huge eye opener. They're just like, wow, I didn't even know that. So it's like, to answer the question, it's a hard yes. No, people don't want to open these doors. This is what most people's journey looks like. They lose weight, they gain weight, they lose weight, they gain weight, they lose weight, they gain weight because they're dealing with these superficial issues. That's not really why you want to lose weight, right? And when you get to the real underlying issue, like, okay, here's what it is, and all we got to do is do this, and then that's fixed. That's where the transformation comes in.
Right.
And that's
right.
Like, people don't need a change. A change is, here's a change. Here's a pen. Okay, if I do this, I've changed it. It's now in a new direction. If I do
Right.
this, I've changed it. And that's typically what people do. But then once they do that, old habits kick in and they just go right back to this. Here's what they need to do. You need to go from this to this. That's a transformation. That's
Oh,
something
good
completely
one.
different. That's
Wow.
that's completely different. And that's what we do.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that illustration. Um, about 5, 6 years ago, I went to a brain conference that was basically a panel of 6 neuroscientists.
Mm.
And they talk about how to change behavior and habits. And it actually takes 63 days, not 21. 21 gets it into short term memory. 63 consecutive days gets it into long term memory, hence automatic, a new habit, a new behavior. And if you go 10 days and you skip one day, you got to start all over again from day one. And I think that's why your 90-day program is effective, because that's over the 63 days of consistent work. So I know that I've seen your before and afters. These guys are getting amazing results. Like, I cannot believe some of these guys who are so ripped when, I'm not sure if all of them are 90 days, but whatever it is that you're doing with them, they're incredible. And you see these kind of transformation pictures with protein products and, the TV commercials. I don't believe any product can deliver the results that you have gotten with people. So kudos to you on that. Um, so tell me
Well,
about your program, Being the Man the World Needs. I know
I'm
it's
gonna
a
I'm
little
gonna I'm gonna go
controversial.
back to what you were just saying though, because I want to touch on this because you're speaking
Okay.
my language. I'm a big fan of I studied neuro linguistic programming um, for a long time, and what you're saying is absolutely right. And a lot of times, what happens is I don't want to go too deep on this, but you have your conscious mind and you have your subconscious mind, and the reasons a lot of these things that people do don't work is because consciously they're making a decision. Hey, I want to lose weight. Hey, I want to get in better shape. But if you don't reprogram your subconscious mind, it's not going to work. I don't care how hard you try. I don't care how much motivation you have. It will not work. Your subconscious mind will reject it. So you
Yeah.
have to change things at a subconscious mind level. And as soon as you do that, whatever you put in, it
Bam.
will accept. And it's like, boom, got it. Boom, got it. And then you can teach it to reject certain things. So what we do is we go through and the bad habits you have, the things that aren't working, we set up triggers and anchors that where your subconscious automatically will reject it. You just won't do those same things you'll do. And then I
Wow.
teach your subconscious mind to accept the things that are helping you, accept the things that are pushing you in the right direction. And we do it in a way where you're not even noticing it's happening. It's just built into the program. Because again, studying neurolinguistic science, studying neurolinguistic programming, like that's a lot. But you don't need to do that. There's simple steps
Great.
that can be woven in, and
Triggers
they're
and
woven
angles.
into the plan where it automatically happens.
We may have to have another conversation another time, but I'd like to learn about the triggers and anchors, because when I'm helping people, a big thing is I'm helping them change their language. Someone will say, what I'm really worried about.
Mhm.
And so we talk about, well, how can we say that differently? Instead of worry, how about expecting or expectation, or something that is positive. But I think I need to learn a little more, and I'd love to explore that with you sometime. So
Yeah, it's super
on a later
powerful.
date.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
anchors and trigger points, and sometimes they're very easy to say. It's very easy to say, and it could be something as simple as that. So like a snap, like you can put an anchor. So like
Can you
every
give me a quick trigger anchor thing?
yeah, so here's a way you could do an anchor. Like I know you said you before, what'd you say you didn't like going to the gym?
Right.
And why didn't you like going to the gym?
When I did go to the gym, it was at a time where I had a community of people that I worked out with, and it was really the fellowship and that social time with
Mhm.
these people. And I don't have that anymore. And every time I go into a gym, I'm like, I hate the smell of the rubber combined with the sweat. The lighting stinks. I don't have my community there. So that's really what I think. I actually think of the smell
Mhm.
and the lighting.
Okay, so was the fellowship that you really liked? Am I right in that?
Yeah.
And what's another thing?
It was just more fun to work out with other people
So
as opposed to
fellowship and
just
fun.
going,
So it's fellowship and fun, right?
yeah,
Right. So if you started going to the gym again and you had the fellowship and it was fun, would that make you go back?
probably.
So then that's all we need to do is add the fellowship and the fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's an example of setting an anchor. So I just take what you like, snap, and
Okay.
it'll literally you start setting anchors, right? So then
Oh,
what I'll do is I'll start saying like I'll just anytime I want you to have a feeling, I'll go back to it. So that's like it can be something as simple as that. You can set an anchor with somebody. It can be something like tapping someone on the shoulder, right? And like so if there's a certain emotion that I want them to feel, I'll get you to feel the emotion and then I'll tap you on the shoulder. And then again, I'll get you to feel the emotion and I'll tap you on the shoulder. And then if once I do that enough, I can tap you on the shoulder and you'll get that exact same emotion.
that's so cool because I guess I'm doing it then,
Yeah.
not with a snap, but I actually do it with the sense of smell.
Yeah.
I use essential oils in everything that I do. And smell is the first thing that is registered in the limbic system.
100%.
So when we're talking about positive affirmations, declarations, we're inhaling when we're doing that. So the next time you smell that thing, you don't even have to repeat the affirmation. You smell the smell and it hits that neural pathway. Isn't that
100%.
wild?
Yeah, so smells are phenomenal. Music works phenomenal. Think of it like this: have you ever? There's probably some song, and the people that are listening to this will probably get this. Like a song comes on, and it just takes you back and reminds you of a certain time, and you immediately get a rush of those
Right.
same feelings. So this stuff happens whether you know it or not. But once you kind of start knowing it, then you can use because you can have it work for you or you can have it work against you. I'll give you a really quick example of how this happened. So
Okay.
I was in a wedding like a week ago, and the groom was playing a song with dancing to his with his mom, and it was what was the name of the song? I can't think of the name of the song right now. It slipped my head. But anyways, for them, it was like this amazing, emotional, great moment. For me, I immediately broke down and started crying because it reminded me of when my mom passed away because I played that song on repeat
Oh,
when
wow.
she passed
Oh,
away,
wow.
right? And so my wife was like, "What's wrong with you?" And then like, like I couldn't even I couldn't stop for like the whole song. So again, there's so much power in this when we understand how to use this, and a lot of times we tend to use some of these things the wrong way, right? Like when
Right.
we're in a bad mood, we go to certain types of music and things like that.
Right. You just
There's
keep
no
it
doubt
there.
you do this. You're definitely doing this.
Yeah,
But a lot like when you understand like how it works, then you can use it to your favor for sure.
exactly. Exactly. Wow. We have some time left, but not as much time as I would like. Just tell us a little bit about your Dynasty program. Do you call it? I can't remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Not Dynasty.
Yeah.
Your
So the
men's program, I'm really interested in it because I believe that we need some more manly men in the world.
yeah. So my coaching program is called Champions Dynasty, and
Okay.
the program that I'm actually about to launch, it launches on Monday. I'm super excited about it. It's weight loss on demand. And what this program is designed to do is if someone's watching this, or maybe you might know somebody, if someone's a male, 30 years or older, that's really looking to just get rid of and crush this weight that they've probably been trying to get off for a
Mhm.
while, and it's typically probably here's who this is probably for: someone who you're doing good in life, as far as like you got a job, you're running your business, that part of your life is going good. You got a family, you got a kids, and that part of your life for the most part is under control. But this part, your fitness part, it's just frustrating the heck out of you. And you can't figure it out. You know where you want to go, but there's a
Mhm.
gap missing. So you're here and you know where you want to go. This
Right.
program is the gap in between. That's what this
Oh, I like
does.
it.
Yeah, and it's on speed. So we do everything in 90 days. I'm a big avid fan of success loves speed, and so do people. So that's what
Yeah.
we do in the program.
Yes. And moving from pain to pleasure.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of people lose the weight, but you seem to help them lose the weight, but then firm it up, tone it up.
100%.
That's a big missing factor, I believe, when
100%.
people are
People go
in.
through stages. Yeah, people will go through stages because it always happens. People will lose the weight, and then here's the next question that you need to ask: now what? Right? Now what? And then we handle that. A lot of people, they like to put on some muscle and fill some things out. Some people just want to maintain where they're at, but it's very important afterwards you have a plan, and that's what we give them. So after the 90 days is up, we go on with the plan, whether it's to drop a couple more pounds if that's what needs to do. Maybe at that point, that's when they start adding muscle, or some people go into a maintenance mode. But it's very important you nail that down, because again, the process is still new, right? It's still
Right.
new to them. So you still have to continue on with that.
And are you finding that after, well, you're launching this new program, but after 90 days, are sounds like you're building a community where people can support each other. And do most people continue on working with you
Yeah,
after
it's
the program?
because of it's the community. I wish I could. I wish I was just so awesome. People just wanted to spend and hang all day with me, but no, it's the community. When you get around other people who are motivated, who are driven, who are
Mm,
advancing in life, people need that now more than ever. And sometimes people don't even realize they need that. But then
right.
when they get
Until they're
around,
around it,
until they're
right?
yeah,
I know just going to Myron's, I crave that.
yeah,
And I can see certain people falling off, or things that don't interest me anymore, events that I have no desire to go to that I would have wanted to years ago. It's really incredible when you get in that atmosphere, right?
yeah. And I think not I think women are much better at sharing their feelings and letting the world know how, or just other people know what they're going through, and having people around them that they feel comfortable sharing. Men tend to be the complete opposite. Men tend to try to do everything solo. Men tend
Right.
to, I can figure this out myself, and that's not the case, and it shouldn't be the case. For years and years and years, we were meant to 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 thrive in tribes. You didn't do
Tribe, right,
yeah, if you were off by yourself, you weren't going to make it. You were dead. You
right,
needed this tribe full of people, and when you get around the right tribe,
right.
you just elevate. Like the tribe elevates everybody, and it's so cool to see the growth. You'll see people's income goes up. You'll see people stepping out and opening up businesses. You'll see marriages get better. You see all this stuff going on, and why would anyone want to leave that?
That's awesome. And we really are out of time, Tywin. Can you share your website where they can look further into your program?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the best way to actually get a hold of me and in touch and just kind of just dive in and get a little bit more information is probably through social media. You can find me on Instagram at Tywin Kalandyk, Facebook, same thing, Tywin Kalandyk. That's probably the best way to get in touch. If anybody has any questions, just in general, hit me up.
Awesome. And Tywin and I are going to be doing a Facebook Live next week and maybe continue the conversation. I want to let people know that I've published a new book called Self Mastery Made Easy: The Road to Discovering Your True Self. And a lot of what we talked about today is knowing yourself, accepting yourself, and then you're able to present yourself better to the world in a more authentic way. And I have lots of events coming up, workshops. I have a retreat in Sedona. So follow me on all the channels, Taking Healthy Back with Maria, and connect with me personally. If you'd love to be a guest on this show or even a sponsor, let's talk about it. And Tywin, thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it. You're a great, awesome guy with a lot of wonderful knowledge. I'm following you. And just because I'm not a man, I can hear what you're saying and apply it to my life. So appreciate you.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks for having me on. Continue doing what you're doing. It's so exciting. Anytime I get the chance to run across people in the industry that are making an impact, that are excited about what they're doing, because we need more people. And man, I'm excited for you. I'm checking out this book. Let's go.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Tune in next week.
This has been Taking Healthy Back with your host, Maria. Tune in each week as Maria will empower you to put your wellness in your control. Right here, Fridays, noon Eastern, on the Bold Brave TV network.